Community land trust and agriculture, close to my heart. Um, I got started with CLTs in agriculture back in 2001 with a project called Troy Gardens in Madison, Wisconsin, where I live. And that combined 30 units of co-housing, community gardens, a CSA farm, and a prairie restoration project on 31 acres. And I thought we were setting the world on fire with a whole new thing nobody ever thought of in the history of community land trusts. And it turns out it was actually an old idea that went back to 1969, um, which was very cool and also humbling at the same time. CLT's roots are in agriculture and housing. We're not just housing. And if anybody tells you CLTs are just for housing, they're wrong. Um, So, just in terms of the roots of CLTs, I'm sure you're all familiar with Ebenezer Howard and the Garden City movement in the UK. I'm sure Tom Chance is quite familiar with this, and that was a key precursor to CLTs. And the first CLT, which hopefully all of you know about, is New Communities, established in 1969 on 5,000 acres. At the time, it was the largest Black-owned farm in the United States. And I know that Heather has been very involved over the years with Shirley Sherrod in particular. So, yeah, this is where we got started, a project that combined agriculture and housing both. So, what we're talking about today is just going back to our roots. So, I just want to do a quick overview of CLTs involved in agriculture in the US, because that's kind of what I know more about. And apologies if this is a bit out of date. I put these slides together a couple of years ago. So there are three CLTs that are agriculture only. There's Boston Farms in Boston, Mass. There's the Southside Community Land Trust in Providence, Rhode Island, which is kind of by far the largest. Really encourage you to check that out. And then there's a CLT in Puerto Rico, and their executive director, Mario Reyes, is on this call. So hopefully we'll hear about her because they're doing really cool stuff in Puerto Rico. There are CLTs that do agriculture and housing. And it turns out the two I have listed here are the two that you'll be hearing about after I'm done with my overview. Athens Community Land Trust and Lopez CLT. Very, very cool organizations. And Heather and Sandy just done amazing work there. There are also CLTs where agricultural land is managed by project partners. And that is what we did at Troy Gardens, which is a project of the Madison area CLT in Madison, Wisconsin. And kind of the oldest CLT doing this type of thing is Dudley Neighbors Inc. in Boston, where they've had a multiple year collaboration with the food project that's for greenhouses and an outdoor farm as well. But any CLTs can do urban ag. If you develop single family housing, you can have backyard gardening, front yard gardening. So I just encourage you all to think about with the land that you have, how might the people who you work with grow food? Um, One question I always got when I was doing consulting work is kind of what's the best way to start out if you're a CLT interested in agriculture, in particular urban ag. And I encourage folks to partner with a well-established community garden where the CLT could negotiate for the purchase of the land and enter into a ground lease with the community garden. The stewardship burden for the CLT is pretty light, and it's a chance to learn. Um, just in general, try to figure out the simplest project to implement, learn from that, and then you could do more complex projects going forward. Um, and this is the starter project, which I just talked about. And kind of the best folks to buy land from are often cities. Um, uh, so, um, so why urban agriculture? It builds community cohesion, and this is community gardens in particular. You're increasing capacity of local food systems, you're improving health outcomes. It's an opportunity to grow culturally appropriate foods and have a case study of among elders garden um, that I talk about sometimes. And that's a great example of that. And it's an access to affordable fresh produce. Lastly, we got some really good resources on our website. If you go to the resource section under research, you'll find land tenure for urban farming. And there's all kinds of good stuff in there. If you're interested in looking at agricultural and urban context with the CLT model. And that's it for my overview. So thank you.